It's okay to fail. It's okay to start over. It's okay to rebrand. It's okay to put something down and come back to it. Losing and failures are lessons, and nobody succeeds without them. Well, 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 look what the cat dragged in. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. My name is Yahaira, and you're tuning into Kin and Soil. So, where have I been? I've been here, there, everywhere, living life to the fullest, to be honest. A lot has happened in the world, and that is an understatement. I literally took some time to root myself in this new reality. I took a hiatus from YouTube for about 6 to 7 years, and I'm feeling the need to open up again. I already know that whoever's on the other side of this channel, this Black Mirror, is meant to be here. So shout out to you for giving me grace and allowing me to figure out my lighting, my sound, and all the good stuff. I got some notes that I'm glancing over at, so just rock with me. So I need everybody to take a deep breath with me. Like, okay, we there? Okay, good. Let's talk about the year 2020. So for those that know me, they know that I took a flight out of the US. I was not dealing with no lockdown, and I moved to East Africa. When I first got to Tanzania, the president at the time was doing some amazing things, beautiful things, but he was also making comments about people with YouTube coming into the country. He was basically concerned with those that were trying to stop what he had going on, rightfully so. So if y'all remember, I had a YouTube called Curly Catalyst, and I decided to end that channel when I got to Tanzania. I should have just disabled it, but you live and you learn, so whatever. In the meantime, in between time, I got an amazing opportunity to make a documentary about my experiences as a teacher, returning back to the continent. I called that documentary Teacher Don't Teach Me Nonsense. It's now streaming on Quelly TV. Link is down below, okay? But, through that time of production, I was also dealing with some major triggering events. My sister passed away. Good friends were passing away, and I was also going head to head with a lot of corrupt systems, like the patriarchy, to accomplish this film. So by the grace of God, I was able to make my debut and, was able to get that experience in the books, write it down. Because of what I had learned through my research for the film and how Nyerere had created this educational framework called Education for Self-Reliance, I said, okay, this must be the natural progression of my film. So after getting the film out, I started working to open up a school in Tanzania. At one point, I was looking to have a one-room schoolhouse in Zanzibar, but I felt like it was a good plan, but I really needed to consider the energy that it took to do this halfway across the world, just with like my ragtag band of supporters. And, for the sake of time, basically, I left Tanzania and decided that I needed to regroup for real. So I'll go into detail about that in soon to come videos. But what I'll say now is that it was a really confusing time for me. And although it was gut-wrenching to leave, I understand and it makes sense now. So I came back to the States. I got my African ancestry DNA results. I purchased some property. I got my birth doula certificate. And, I helped family members navigate some instabilities due to the pandemic and changing immigration policies. So I'll be documenting this journey here and on my socials. Will I open up a school in the future? Yes, even if it's just me and my own nappy-headed children. But, stay tuned because that's what all of this is about. As someone who is adverse to talking about what I'm doing, I'm tired of that. Some, reasons why I got comfortable being offline is because, to be quite honest, I'm tired of having to explain my cultural background to people that I meet. I may make some videos about it in the future, but the long and short of it is I am a descendant of the Ma'afa by way of Puerto Rico and Panama. I was born in New York City and raised in the South, Texas to be exact. So I also consider myself an Afro-Caribbean because of where my parents are from and also in African American because I was born here in the US. And I also consider myself indigenous to planet Earth, right? By way of the Congo and the Arawak Nation. Notice I did not say Taino. Okay, Bad Bunny is a nice entertainer, but he doesn't speak for me as a Black woman from Latin America, just so we're clear. Also, I don't believe that because we come from the Americas that inherently that means that we're all mixed. You know, both of my parents are Black, and I do not identify with the Europeans who forced their way into my family bloodline. So that's the long and short of it. I also got comfortable not publicizing my life because I don't speak from pop culture debates, you know, but from scholarly research and fieldwork and community collaboration. You know, this is what informs the topics I speak about. And what I was also concerned about was that, you know, all teachers are bad crowd would bully me on the internet. Like, there's this cancel culture in America that, you know, yeah, it comes from a good place of like holding men accountable who assault women, like Harvey Weinstein's of this world. But in some way, it's also like, you know, there was a moment in time where it had evolved more so to like canceling people who, you know, others simply disagreed with or had a hot take, or, you know, maybe it was cringe in their delivery. And I'm talking to Black people only when I say this, but like, yes, let's hold each other accountable. But the sentence needs to match the crime. You know what I mean? Like, we've went through so much, and there needs to be more grace to one another. Like, period. So anyway, with all the high racial tensions across the globe, I was concerned about opening my mouth and saying something that would add fuel to the fire in a weird way, but I don't have that apprehension anymore. You know, I feel like I've liberated myself from doing free labor for others in regards to race. And also now I understand that sometimes healing is accepting that I'm going to seem crazy to others. Like, I'm okay with that. God forbid a Black woman chooses to interrogate and unlearn the indoctrinations that were meant to keep her captive and silent. Like, I can't. Anyway, Black people are not a monolith. And if you want, you know, a scholarly level of critical race theory, I suggest that you check out folks like Dash Harris. I'm gonna put her links down below. She's done extensive work as far as like creating frameworks around Afro descendants in the Americas. I value everything that she has to say, and I do support her work. I think you should too. I also got comfortable being offline because I'm not just one thing. I'm an educator, a children's book author, a filmmaker, and now a birth doula. You know, and I hate like when people say pick a niche. Like, I can't pick a niche, you know. I'll be speaking through all of these things. And when I'm ready, I've also spent like years dealing with rejection from traditional publishing houses and dealing with commissioned illustrators who essentially scammed me. You know, I'll be going into detail about my experiences writing stories for children, and in later videos, you know, pretty much I want to maybe bring back some of my old videos where I was doing read alouds of culturally affirming picture books that I used in my classroom. So yeah, I think I'll be bringing those back when I feel led to. Also, I have the voices of my ancestors that have conditioned me to believe that, you know, having your picture taken can lead to someone stealing something from you, or like, you know, never showing the inside of your house so that people can't walk into it in the spirit realms. You know, please tell me, are these just Caribbean beliefs? Let me know in the comments. And also let me know where you're tuning in from. But yeah, make a long story short, like, I figured out a spiritual protocol of like how to find a happy medium between the world where my ancestors were raised in and the world that I'm birthing now. But I'll definitely be keeping that to myself for the time being. The spiritual protocols stay within. I hope that from these videos you see my heart for humanity, my heart to learn, my heart to operate within Ubuntu as a Bantu descendant, you know. Some other housekeeping things I want to make clear. On this channel, I'm going to do my best to speak from my lived experience and not from my opinion. I already feel like there's enough people doing that on the internet, you know. But what's important for me is sharing what I have learned through experience. I've started over numerous times in my life, so to speak, so I'll be speaking from that lens, you know? This next elevation in my life, I choose to focus on the things that bring me joy. I got through all of the abusive and neglectful experiences early in my life, so I'm thankful that I didn't allow these things to level me, and I'm moving forward with my full heart intact. So I give all glory to Mungu, right? Mungu means creator in Swahili. I will be navigating the Swahili language on this channel as well. So, I'm grateful to look through I'm grateful to not look like the things that I've been through. You know what I mean? So even though I'm opening myself back up to the internet, I also reserve the right to keep parts of my life exclusive, to the presence of my people, to my community. So I also recognize that in some way, I fell into this trap of like not being vocal about my lessons and failures throughout my journey. And I want to share more of them, but like in time that feels like me, like social media is this, a lot of times like this highlight reel, like super polished business profile, but this is real life for me. And I get that there's this pressure to constantly be in performance mode, but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I already have my children, my students that I have a responsibility to as a teacher. So, I don't want them to think that life is over once you make a mistake, or if you stay somewhere too long, or like whatever, I want them to see me rising above whatever things didn't go my way. So I'm committing to speaking on my lived experiences and not performing, with the beauty and the cringe and all of that, like legitimately. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you for joining me on this journey. Go and touch some grass with your people. And next video, I'll talk about more of my time in Tanzania. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Sending love to all beating hearts. Amani na upendo.